Hello, Laverne here, and thank you for joining me. May this video be a blessing to you, and may it honor and glorify God and His kingdom. I'm going to be looking at two news stories, or I shouldn't say news stories. One is a news story, the other has to do with entertainment, if you will, if that's what you actually want to call it. Both of these stories come to us from the Netherlands. The first has to do with cannibalism and the fact that it is now seen as entertainment. In the one clip I'll include in the description box of this video, it will take you to a YouTube video of a clip from a television program broadcast from the Netherlands. In it, what you will find is that two TV hosts thought it would be cool to go through surgery and to have part of their flesh cut away so that while in front of a TV audience, they could fry up the other's flesh and eat it. Now, this idea of cannibalism in itself is disturbing, but to think that it is also entertainment, I find is beyond words. I can't describe how horrible I think this is, to find that this is accepting in the world today. Cannibalism seen as a form of entertainment. The thing is, and what worries me, is that this is just the first step. If we are accepting of this, that cannibalism is something that we would watch on TV and find entertaining, well, it won't be long before it is simply widely accepted. This is just Satan's way to get it started. Now, the second news story is even worse. It also comes from the Netherlands, and it has to do with a scientist who has created a new strain of bird flu. A Dutch scientist has done this, and I'll also include a link to at least one story on this. Now, the United States government is are the people behind the backing of this scientist and his experiments, his research. So what we have is the United States government backed this scientist in the Netherlands, supported him in creating a new strain of bird flu, a very deadly strain of bird flu, very likely the most deadliest ever created. Well, this is extremely disturbing, and there are many scientists around the world speaking out against it. I hope you will take the time to watch the news story from the video clip that I'm providing. Now, the reason I'm really making this video, I guess the main reason for it, while it is disturbing that these new ways of sinning have, been brought to our attention, what I'd really like you to not so much focus on, but I simply want to bring it to your attention, is that back in January of this year, so approximately 11 months ago, I made a video where I talked about a prophetic dream I had. Now, in this dream, I saw that the bird flu would make a leap from fowl to mammal, from birds to animals such as swine, and I specifically named swine in my video. Now, the concern today, coming from scientists and the medical profession and such, is that this bird flu will be able to make the leap to man, to humans, and that we could see millions of people dying if this new strain of bird flu were to fall into the wrong hands, for example, terrorists. And while this is certainly a concern, in my video I explained that the real concern, or what's the main problem that's going to occur, is that this bird flu is going to jump to mammal so that our food source is destroyed. Our food source in the very near future is going to be decimated. I explained this in my prophetic dream, which, by the way, I had actually had back in August of 2010. Now, when I explained this dream, and when I had the dream, I had no idea that this kind of thing was going on, that there was funding and the such to create a new strain of bird flu. But I explained in my video that when the bird flu makes the leap to mammal, that it will be done on purpose, that it will be a man-made virus, purposely released. Well, today we see that this virus has actually been created and tested, that we now have a new strain of bird flu that can make the leap from fowl to mammal. And my brothers and sisters, and not just my brothers and sisters in Christ, but anyone who is willing to listen, this is going to happen. And in my video, I explained that the real concern is that when these food stocks are depleted, it's going to put strain on the livestock and the fisheries that are not affected. And then those themselves are going to be depleted. But then what's going to happen is the government is going to step in. And with the fear of this strain of bird flu, and with the effect that it will have on livestock, governments around the globe will put in place very strict regulations and licensing so that no one will be able to grow a single carrot or an onion or any kind of produce whatsoever. No one will be able to produce any kind of livestock and sell it without the government's backing and without their okay. Anyone who tries to grow any kind of food source will be arrested if they do not come under the government's regulations. And this is going to set up the taking of the mark of the beast. This will be the first step of the Antichrist to enforce taking the mark of the beast. And so, my brothers and sisters, I make this video as a warning. I hope you will take heed so that when these things start happening, and they have started happening because we now have this bird flu that I was warning about. But when the livestock start to be depleted and you see these new regulations coming into place, you will know that this is the work of Satan. And for those non-believers, hopefully it will be enough to have you turn to the Lord and accept Him. I also want to stress the fact that there are many Christians living in the apostate church who think that they can live as the world, believing that they are saved simply because they have confessed Christ as their Lord and perhaps been water baptized, said a sinner's prayer or something along that line. But I'm afraid most Christians are going to accept the mark of the beast. It will be simply done because you think you are saved. You think you can take the mark. And because you confess Christ as your Lord, you are saved from that point on. This idea of eternal salvation. But farmers will be the first to be forced to take this mark. And then it won't be long after that when you won't be able to buy food unless you have the mark of the beast. But the first step is to force those who are growing and selling the food to take the mark. And it's all going to come as a result or spring from this bird flu that's going to jump to mammal. All right, as always, I look forward to comments and messages. I know a lot of people will think I'm just some crazy person talking about end times again. But I made my video long before I knew anything of this kind of thing going on. This is no coincidence. This is going to take place. It is happening today. This is only the first step with the creation of the bird flu. Sin is so rampant in the world. New ways of sin are being created. And I'd just like to, actually before I close, speak on the Netherlands, Both of these stories come from the Netherlands. The Netherlands, at least from one site I found, lists them as being 10th in the world as being the most non-religious, meaning that they are made up of a large atheist or non-religious population, listed 10th in the world. So it's not surprising to find these kinds of things being promoted and taking place in such a country. Cannibalism being promoted and accepted as a form of entertainment. This kind of thing would never happen in a nation or in a community that is made up of mostly religious people. All right, till next time, peace and blessings.